This is the Plant Powered Challenge 2022, brought to you by Spectrum Health's Lifestyle Medicine team.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Carolyn Vollmer, physician for the Spectrum Health Lifestyle Medicine practice. I'm so happy you could all join us today to hear about the power of plant-based eating from some of our patients. Our team is really passionate about using evidence-based lifestyle medicine strategies to prevent and reverse disease. On a more personal note, I've also transitioned my diet and lifestyle from the standard American diet to incorporate more whole foods that are plant-based, and have experienced tremendous health benefits as well. We hope that by meeting with our patients today, that you can also find a special journey for yourself along the way. I'm excited to be here and introduce you to a few of our patients. They have made incredible lifestyle changes and are here today to share with you the power of plant-based eating. Let's begin by hearing a little bit from one of our patients. Anne, tell us about your journey to a healthy lifestyle, from how you've made these tremendous changes to where you are now.
Well, prior to learning about Spectrum Health Lifestyle Medicine and the Plant-Based Challenge, I had been doing Weight Watchers, and I had been pretty successful with Weight Watchers, but I kind of had plateaued, and then the pandemic happened. So as we all know, I was looking for something I've got health issues, and so I saw it pop up on Facebook about the plant-based challenge, and I decided I was going to go for it. And so I signed up for it last January and participated in all the sessions. I love the cooking and learning all different things. I was pretty healthy eater, but I didn't realize how much of my diet was still a lot of processed foods and stuff. And so really incorporating more of those fresh fruits and veggies and the plant-based and the whole foods and whole grains was a transition that I made in my diet.
What was the hardest part of you doing that Plant Powered Challenge last month for those of us out there who are just doing it for the first time?
I think the hardest part was learning to give up and transitioning from foods that I had been eating into more healthy foods, and finding, like strategies for like making sure, like sometimes I would just buy my veggies already all prepped because if I didn't have time to make them. So learning how to go ahead and transition into getting more of the fresh veggies and whole foods and the grains, and getting out of like the white grains, moving more over to the brown grains. I learned a lot about different grains I'd never had before, and so trying those. The last year's been an adventure and I also did another program through you guys so I learned how to cook too. So
great. Tell us a little bit about that. Is that the Cooking for Health program you're referencing?
It is. And so I did that. I just finished that. And I love that program. It was fabulous. I love learning to cook along with the chefs. I learned lots of cool techniques. I was never a really good cook, and I feel like I'm learning. And I wasn't really good at like throwing spices in. I could follow a recipe, but anything else. And I feel like I'm, learning how to add flavors and add a variety of foods, different vegetables and fruits and grains that I'd never eaten before. And I'm really enjoying it.
That's what it's all about, just starting to amplify and add these things in and get comfortable with foods you might not be comfortable with in the past as part of the standard American diet. What are some of your favorite go-to recipes now that you're using that are simple for people to know?
So one of the ones that I really liked was part of the Cooking for Health program was the lentil soup. The lentil dill soup. That was one of my favorites. And then there's also like a bok choy dish that's got lots of veggies and stuff in it that with green. That's a good one. I like that. I do a lot of stir fries. And I really have gotten out of using a lot of meats. And moving more into just trying to make sure that grains and the whole foods and veggies are predominantly the main part on my plate. If I do use meats and I eat a red meat on a very rare occasion anymore. I will eat some seafood and some fish, but I make sure it's wild caught now. But I've found that I really cut down on the portions that I'm using. And so that now when I'm doing it, I'm using more veggies, more fruits, and that's become the center of what's on my plate.
Yeah, you mentioned you've been switching from more animal-based sources of protein to plant-based sources of protein. That's been one of the big changes that you've done. Tell me about how that's made you felt, any health benefits associated with that.
So I definitely have noticed that by reducing my consumption of meats and dairy products and moving to like almond milk and some of the other plant-based products, that my inflammation has gone down tremendously.
Wow.
And I've actually been able to get off one of my medications for arthritis as a result of the dietary changes that I've made in my life.
That's fabulous. Yes, natural anti-inflammatories. Must feel really good. What's been one of your favorite parts of working with the lifestyle medicine program? I know you've tried cooking for health, you've done fasting, you've done the plant powered challenge. You've been with us for a whole year. So what have been some of your favorite parts?
I think my favorite part has been just learning about all the different recipes, also working with the nutritionist as part of the follow-up with the Cooking for Health, learning actually how to cook and actually learning to eat foods I've never been exposed to before. And, I think one of the things that resonates with me was the comment that we learned about making sure it comes from a plant versus within a plant. And so that really, I always think about that when I'm at the grocery store is, and then also learning because of some heart issues and stuff that I've got, trying to find foods with low sodium and understanding how to make those switches, reduce sugars, all of that has just been, it's made a tremendous change for me in my health journey this past year.
It's wonderful. Do you feel that after making so many changes that these are sustainable long term, that this is something you can do lifelong?
I do. I actually started intermittent fasting last January as well. And so I've been doing that now for a year almost. And I have found that I never used to be a person to eat 3 meals a day anyways. And so it's actually worked out really well for me. So like I don't usually eat until about noon. And then I try and be done by like 7 p.m., sometimes 8 p.m. But that break. And then I also have given up all caffeine and I drink a ton of water. I didn't realize how much water I should be drinking, but I now drink like half my body weight in water on a daily basis. And that too, I just feel so much more energy, sleep better. It's made a huge change for me.
That's tremendous. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks.
When you do fasting, so you mentioned intermittent fasting and you've done the Fasting for Health program. Can you share with the patients what the Fasting for Health program entails? I know you're at the end of your fast right now.
Right.
Like,
so I'm on round 3. So I've done this for once a month for a week, 5 days for the last 3 months. And it's actually the main purpose I wanted to do it is my weight had kind of plateaued, but also my glucose levels and my cholesterol levels weren't where I wanted to be. And I'd been put on medication that I really would like to get off of. And so what I found is, in addition to, I've lost almost 22 pounds, I think, since I've done all 3 fasts, that in addition to that, my numbers have come down for my glucose, my numbers have come down for my cholesterol. So I want to continue it in the future because I'm learning how to adjust using food and trying to get rid of medicines. And I've been successful in getting rid of 1, and I'd like to get rid of 2 more.
Well, we're here for you on that. Do you have any special tips that you would have for other patients that may just be starting? It's their first plant-powered challenge. This is all new and foreign to them. What can you tell them?
I think that one of the biggest things is paying attention to the fact that food as medicine really is substantial. And there's so much scientific research behind that. And I knew that, but I had never put it into practice. And so putting it into practice, I mean, people that have seen me before and now have seen me, because since last January, I'm down over 30 pounds. And it's all due to intermittent fasting, increased exercise, as well as the change in my diet. And so, you know, I couldn't start immediately. I've slowly, over the last year, reduced the amount of meat in my diet, reduced the amount of dairy in my diet, and gradually made the shift. I don't think if I had tried to do it all at once, I would have been as successful as I am now by doing that gradual change.
Yep. And you're right. We really try to meet you where you're at and find out where you are in your journey, and doing it slowly definitely tends to work out better for most patients. Now, you mentioned that you live with somebody who still does not eat fully plant-based. What strategies have you done with your spouse to help incorporate more whole plant foods, even though they tend to like some other things still?
So he's not a big fan of beans. So that has been a challenge sometimes. But what I've done is, like, I will do a stir fry and I will make up all the veggies and that type of thing and the sauce, and I will cook his meat separate. And then I will take my portion out and I will then add his into it. But I've been reducing the amount of meat. I've also been transitioning him to not having as much red meat and moving both of us over to more fish and fresh fish and fresh seafood that is wild caught. And then I've also been changing, if I do buy meat, I've been buying the grass-fed, but I don't buy it that often.
That's great. Yes, it can be a challenge living with significant others or family members or family events. Any tips for the holidays or for future events like Valentine's Day coming up that you could advise patients when they're surrounded by a bunch of chocolates?
Well, so one of the things that I have done is for Thanksgiving, I ended up doing Brussels sprouts and sweet potatoes for me versus doing green bean casserole and mashed potatoes and gravy for my husband. So that was one thing that I did, was just to change up the recipe so that I was eating more whole food, plant-based, but he still got what he wanted. But I try and find things that I know that he likes and to bring in new recipes. And actually, I'm surprised at how open he's been to trying things. He at least will try it. He
That's
just
great.
said, "Don't give me any more Brussels sprouts."
Maybe another veggie next time. So Ian, during the Cooking for Health sessions that you did, you mentioned you learned a lot. Was there any tips that you would like to give other patients as to something they could do differently with their cooking styles?
I think one of the biggest differences that for me was learning how to saute vegetables without oil and using water to do that. And that was another way of helping to reduce the calorie content and reducing the dependency on oils, is to just use water. And then I've also learned that some vegetables actually release water, like mushrooms, for example. And so I would cook the mushrooms first and then add in the other vegetables. And that way I didn't even need to use much water at all. It just naturally, it works great.
And what did you learn? I'm going to put you on the spot for a second. What did you learn about why not using oil?
Just because of the oil, it's you don't want to use a lot of if you're going to use oils, you want to use the plant-based oils and not the vegetable oils and things like that. And so also, you know, with your diet, you want to get away from using a lot of the oil and try and use the water as much as you can. And that helps with reducing the calories.
Exactly.
And so that, I think, was the big thing, is that and the sugars, trying to reduce, and also the sodiums. I mean, I think the other big part about the Cooking for Health that I really loved was learning how to read labels, and then understanding like what, like sodium, for example, like what you should look for. So like when I look for a salad dressing, if I don't make my own, I found like the Panera Light, for example, balsamic, I could get with only 50 milligrams of sodium in the serving for it. So it was like some of those kind of tips. And then the grains as well, using new grains that that were whole base versus just your traditional rice, like farro. I'd never had that before. I've now got that. Lentils. So those were all really cool things that I've learned. And I'm always looking for recipes. Like Forks Over Knives is one of my favorite sites to go to. And then your website has tons of recipes. And so I've used your website, referred it to other people. And so I'm always going on that website.
That's great. Well, thanks a lot, Anne. We really appreciate you being with us today and sharing your story. We are really excited to continue to work with you over these next few years and see you continuing to succeed in setting all of your goals. Next up, we have Dave. Dave's been working with me for the last few months, and you're relatively newer to the lifestyle medicine world, right, Dave?
Yes, brand new.
Brand new. So tell us about your journey and experience thus far to a healthy lifestyle, and what brought you to see us.
The reason I came to see you is that I've been struggling with weight management. My feeling is that it's just kind of gotten out of control. Last winter, over the winter, I don't get to get out and do my normal bicycle riding, which is my exercise. And because I'm kind of homebound during the winter, especially last winter with the pandemic, I put on a bunch of weight, and it never came off. Even though I was getting a huge amount of exercise on my bicycle, the exercise was not taking it off. And so I was going, wow, what in the world is going on?
So Dave, why don't you tell us, what's been your favorite part about working with the lifestyle medicine practice?
Well, this is something that I've been needing for a long time, and it hasn't been available. So I was so excited to learn that not only did you exist, but it was something I could get involved with. And that excitement is still with me because, again, I'm new and the timing couldn't be better. Not only because I need the help with weight management, and it's not just weight management. It's also, there are other benefits to having a proper diet, a whole bunch of them. I won't want to take your valuable time, but that's exciting for me because here we are. We're going into a new year, and I'm in this new program that starts right at the beginning of the year. And then in February, we're going to do the on-site cooking, which I'm also signed up for. And I'm feeling confident and hopeful that I'm going to get so many benefits, not including the weight loss. But when you start losing weight, you start feeling better, and so it's very exciting to me to be in the program.
Well, we're thrilled to have you. Cooking for Health. Yes, that's what you're going to be doing in February. Well, excited to see you in the kitchen with other patients.
Yes.
Tell us about some of the recipes that you've tried thus far in your plant-based journey that other patients may enjoy.
I've got a couple key tools. The Instant Pot is one that I do highly recommend because it's healthier to steam. The Instant Pot is just a modern day pressure cooker. So you're cooking with steam primarily. It also has a saute function, which can have some benefits. But I'll tell you one besides soups. Now, for me, soups are awesome because you're getting filled up on a lot of water when you eat soups. But another recipe that I did over the last year or so that I should do again, and I should do it more, is stuffed bell peppers.
Oh,
Perfect.
yeah, good idea.
Now, the only tricky bit on the stuffed bell peppers, when I made them, that was back, my goodness, I might have been a year ago. When I made them with ground turkey, and I put cheese on the top of them. But they were, I love stuffed bell peppers, and I did them in the Instant Pot. It made it so easy to do. Um,
How are you going to do
right
them
then,
differently now?
and now what I'm going to have to make some adjustments. Now, um, in my diet now, I've eliminated cheese. Even though I love cheese, cheese is it's very fattening. It's almost all fat, and yeah, that's a hard thing to give up. Now, however, having said that, I'm perfectly willing to give the cheese up to get all the benefits that I know are going to come my way. So I can mix up, I can do some brown rice, lots of interesting seasonings. I can put in some tomato and make a nice little mixture with, let's say, uh,
Maybe
roasted.
some beans?
Um, I don't know that I could do beans,
Mhm.
but usually I, at least that's what I have been doing. When I make a
Mhm.
pot of beans, I just make a pot of bean soup.
Mhm.
Um, One of my mantras is I try to keep everything simple because I have other interests. I don't necessarily, well, I don't want to spend all my time shopping, cooking, and cleaning, but I'm certainly willing to do more than what I have been. But see, I have other interests that take up my time. But I do enjoy cooking. Oh yeah, it's
That's great.
fun. I have a food in addition to the Instant Pot. What really makes the cooking easier and fun is a few tools. I have the food processor, which to me, the food processor is like a miracle gadget. And that's where I make my hummus. Um, I soak the chickpeas overnight. Some people say, oh, you don't need to do that. I soak all the beans overnight if I cook with beans. The one bean you don't have to soak is split pea. No soaking required. Lentils you don't have to soak, as far as I know. But with the chickpeas, I soak those overnight, and I put in baking soda. You might think, well, what would that be for? And what I've learned is that the baking soda softens the skins on the chickpea. And when I don't cook chickpeas in the Instant Pot because they're too frothy. I don't want to have an accident with the Instant Pot. So I just use my 8 quart on the stove top. It takes about an hour to cook them. I put it on number 5 and I can leave it, set it and forget it. And I don't skim off the foam or any of that stuff. I try to keep everything super simple.
Yeah, simple is key, and it is simple to do some plant-based recipes. You mentioned
Mm-hmm.
at our last visit, one of the things you were wanting to try was make your own burger. What have you been doing since we last met?
The only thing I've done since, because you and I just met, what, 2 days ago, something like
Hmm.
that?
A few days ago.
And you and I talked about uh, doing the veggie burgers, and I think that would be a huge improvement in my uh, in cooking here at home. I love a good veggie burger, and you can make a veggie burger. It's as good, if not better, than a really good meat burger, in my opinion. How so?
Sure can.
Well, it's all about the seasonings. Don't overcook it. Don't dry it out. Um, And so I'm all excited because this morning I picked up the half sheet arrived. It has the silicone mat, and it also has
Well
a
done.
steel wired grill, and so the burgers will sit on top of that, I suppose. And now I have a new cooking project that will be my first of, uh, and that is doing a veggie
Making
burger.
your
Now,
burgers. What are
mhm.
you going to put in your burger?
Definitely turmeric. I'll follow since I haven't done it before. I'll find a recipe, uh, and I'll look at 2 or 3 recipes, and then I'll have to choose. Do I want to go chickpea or do I want to go black bean? Um, and then a little bit of salt. I love pepper, black pepper. I put garlic in everything, and this is going to be no exception. What I think was going to really make it for the burgers is getting fresh onion and tomato,
Good idea.
so that you can make a real burger: slice of tomato, slice of onion. Now, can I still use condiments, for example? Well, I have some nice mustard in the kitchen. I think I could still use that. I'll read the label. Now, on the ketchup, that's a little different story because the ketchup has a ton of sugar in it. And then
Yeah, you can find ketchup that's no added sugar, but you have to look hard.
wow, yeah, I have an organic ketchup. It's really wonderful, but it's got added sugar, and I'm trying to not do added sugar right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
they sell some at Meijer, or
oh.
local grocers. You just have to read those labels again, like you're learning how to do. Tell us about some of your favorite spices. You mentioned garlic is big for you. What are some other spices that you've been using recently?
Well, when I make my pot of soup, the veggie bean soup,
Mm-hmm.
I put in chili, and I put in jalapeno. What's the other hot one? Anyway, I'm blanking. Sorry about that. I put in cumin.
Yeah. You mentioned paprika earlier.
Paprika is good for example, the hummus. It really just colors it up a little bit. Does paprika have a specific taste? I forget if paprika has a
little bit of a
pronounced
taste. Yeah, it does.
little bit of a taste.
Mm-hmm.
But on the beans, I like it a little spicy. You put a little kick in it, makes it fun. In fact, if you're okay with that, you can get some green chilies in the can, or you can, when you buy your veggies, you can buy some jalapenos. So I did that recently, chopped up the jalapenos, and all of a sudden you've got a pot of beans that just has tremendous flavor. If you've ever been down to Louisiana, they're really big time into cooking, a pot of beans. So you can kind of imitate that and yet not use meat.
Exactly. Now, Dave, there's some people out there that say eating plant-based is going to be very expensive. How have you found eating plant-based to be cost-effective?
Well, I'm surprised that anybody would make that case, quite frankly, if I could be so bold, because for me, it's the opposite. Going plant-based, I save a tremendous amount of money. I sometimes when I'm at the store, I go near the meat rack and I look at what these little pieces of meat cost, and I go, holy smokes, how do people afford that? And so for me, and I'm on a budget, I'm cost conscious. Plant-based is for me the way to go to control the costs. And just like everything right now, we're in an inflationary time. Prices for everything right now are rising, including, or perhaps even especially, food. So, but I'm not stressing out about that. I'm not anxious about that because of my plant-based diet. I can keep my budget way down, and it's not just the plant-based diet portion of it. Eating plant-based food, but I'm also eating my meals here at the apartment. So I save. I don't pay to go out to eat, and so I can keep my food budget way down by going with this diet that has all these benefits.
It's wonderful to hear. Thanks for sharing that. Outside of weight loss, have you experienced any other changes or health benefits that you've noticed?
Yes, I have. I don't know if that's possible. Does reduced anxiety, for example, is that possible with with a change in diet? I thought I read somewhere that it is, and so I experienced that a little bit. With losing just the few pounds that I left, I felt right away felt better. And again, eating all this garlic, and also I think I read Dr. Greger talking about that the blueberries are also anti-inflammatory.
Correct.
As I understand it, anti-inflammatory is a really big deal because a lot of the way I understand it, a lot of the diseases are because of inflammation. Now, in my
Yeah.
case, as I mentioned earlier, I have severe hip pain in both hips, unfortunately, and it's due to things like osteoarthritis, which I've been diagnosed with. But isn't that amazing to consider and to experience that the superfoods, in my opinion, garlic is a superfood, has extraordinary anti-inflammatory. And I think here lately, I was thinking, wow, I seem to have less hip pain. And for me, that's a big deal because they can't really help me with my hip pain. I mean, what am I going to do? Go get surgery? That's not really a good option.
Yeah.
They're
And
not good. Mm-hmm. Go
you are
ahead.
completely right about that. And you wouldn't be the first patient today to mention that eating more plant-based has helped with an inflammation and pain. So you're onto something, and it is actually backed by science.
If I may, I'd like to add one thing,
Of course.
and that is some people are blessed; they're born with just incredible genetics. I can think of family friends and stuff where the people live to 100 years old with absolutely no health issues or problems. But not all of us are that fortunate. And what occurred to me, I believe that was earlier today, is that you know what? I can't control the genetics that I was born with. However, I can control uh, my diet. And I think it was Dr. Greger that was saying, "Hey, diet trumps genetics
It
oftentimes."
does.
And I
Many of
think,
our top diseases and killers in America are all lifestyle, due to lifestyle factors. And so as we change these lifestyle factors, thereby we improve our longevity, our quality of life, and our overall health.
yes. So when I read that in his book, I thought, boom, that just resonated with me. A lot of the things that he said have resonated with me, and some of the things that you and I have talked about have been
Yep.
extremely helpful for me. I feel like I'm getting on the right path, and I'm just getting started.
Yes. I'm happy to be here with you, Dave. Thanks so much for joining us today. I really appreciate, and
Thank
we'll
you,
see all the good
Dr.
things that you
Vollmer.
have to offer in 2022.
Thanks, Dr. Vollmer.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Next, we're going to hear from Mike, one of our own Spectrum employees and lifestyle medicine patient. Welcome, Mike.
Morning.
Morning. Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience? I know you participated in the Fasting for Health program that we offer. Tell me a little bit about what interested you in this program and how you found out about it.
Yeah, I actually saw a comment or a post. I think it was even on LinkedIn from Christy Arts or one of the people involved with lifestyle medicine about the Prolon 5-day fast, and I was kind of intrigued. So I reached out, and they gave me the information, and I thought, okay, I think I'll give it a try. I mean, I see a lot of things on social about fasting and all that kind of stuff. So I was curious about the 5-day Prolon fast that our lifestyle medicine team is using, and thought, well, that that should be pretty legit then if it's part of our lifestyle medicine practice. So that's how that's why I checked into it and wanted to try it.
And what was your experience with the fast? What results did you have?
Yeah, it was really interesting. And it's amazing how good things taste when you have so little of them. And I've never been a real soup guy, but boy, part of the Prolon 5-day fast is you have these different packets of things you can eat during the fast. And yeah, the soup never tasted so good, but had real good results. I mean, in the first 5 days, I lost 8 pounds. And then after that, you kind of transition back into healthy eating.
Mhm.
And so then following that 5-day fast, I just used a simple app called Lose It on my phone, which tracks, you can put in what you're eating during the day, and it tracks, your calories and that kind of thing. So I kind of used that to continue to monitor my diet and what I was eating. And over the next probably 3 months or so, lost a total of about 30 pounds.
That's amazing. What other health changes did you do besides the fasting in those months that followed that helped you lose that 30 pounds?
Yeah, we and my wife and I gave up meat, red meat, chicken, all that stuff, a couple of years ago, probably 3 years ago now. And so we had already done that. But just really focusing on a lot of different kinds of beans and lentils and legumes and vegetables and fruit and all that kind of thing. And after the 5-day fast, the lifestyle medicine practice, they have lots and lots and lots of really good recipes. And so the one thing that I really started to enjoy was, I think it's called the golden lentil stew.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
it's nice and hearty, and it's got lots of lentils and good stuff, and I think kale and all kinds of good stuff, and it tastes great. So I ate a lot of that, and honestly, you know, when I needed a quick meal, I grabbed the 10 veggie soup from Panera. Um,
Okay, yes.
which is pretty good. So I get the 10 veggie soup in a fruit cup instead of the French baguette, and just kind of focused on that kind of stuff. Salads, and I switched to instead of salad dressing, balsamic vinegar. I know
Excellent idea.
Dr. Esselstyn, who's one of the whole food plant-based advocates, and I think he was a cardiovascular surgeon or something like that. But he's a big fan of balsamic vinegar, so I got turned on to
Swap
that.
out those oils.
Yeah, and have found I really like that. So I kind of eliminated, typical dressings and use that kind of thing on my salads.
You mentioned about 3 years ago, but even before you did fasting, you started to swap out those animal proteins for more plant sources of proteins. And a lot of our
Mhm.
patients over this month are starting to learn the health benefits of eating more whole plant proteins instead. Can you tell me, and obviously tell fellow patients and listeners, why you made this swap to incorporate more plant proteins?
Yeah, we gave up meat, a couple of things. So my father passed away from cancer probably about 6 years ago, and he grew up on a farm in Ohio, and ate the typical meat and potatoes and things like that. He was pretty healthy overall. I mean, he didn't have a lot of comorbidities or anything like that, but ended up getting cancer and passed away. So that was one thing that played into it. And then my wife has a cousin that switched to more of a vegan diet several years ago, and she kind of turned us on to Dr. Greger. And then I read the book How Not to Die. And then through lifestyle medicine, I got turned on to Dr. Esselstyn and his books, and reversing heart disease and things like that. So that's how it all kind of got
Came
started.
together for you. It's an amazing story. It's really great because, heart disease is one of our top killers in America. And hearing this, obviously close and near and dear to your heart with the loss with cancer and heart disease, we're learning so much about how we can use food as medicine to help prevent and, limit the progression of certain diseases and cancers. So it's great that you're on this journey with us. Can you
Yeah.
tell our listeners as well, outside of weight loss, what other things have you experienced when you started eating more whole food plant-based?
Weight loss is probably the primary thing. And then just when I do my annual physical or checkup, that kind of thing, and they do the blood work and check all those fun things that your blood tells you. Just wanting to make sure that HDL and LDL and triglycerides and all those things are good. Saw the LDL kind of creeping up a bit, so wanted to make sure that didn't continue, and so
Exactly.
I think I'm in pretty good shape right now for an old dog, and feel good, and
Learning new tricks still.
yeah, the old dog's learning new tricks. Yeah.
What are some of those new tricks and recipes maybe you've learned, or some tips for eating out that you could share with our patients?
Well, it's fun. It's funny. The biggest challenge, I think, when you're switching to more of a whole food plant-based diet is the thinking that, oh, now your choices are going to be so limited. And, because it's so easy to just throw some meat and potatoes on a plate, but there are so many varieties of whole food plants, beans, legumes, vegetables, fruit, rice, quinoa, couscous, all that cool stuff. So it's just learning new recipes, right? And experimenting and things like that. But Dr. Esselstyn's son, Rip, he's developed some really cool whole food plant-based products. So he's got Rip's Big Bowl, which I like to eat for breakfast because it's like oats and barley and all kinds of good stuff. And I love oatmeal. So it's easy to cook a bowl of oatmeal and throw some, raspberries or blueberries or things like that, or banana. I like that a lot for breakfast. And it's pretty easy. I don't like to cook a lot, but fortunately my wife handles a lot of that for me. But and you can still eat out. I mean, there are so many places like Freshie has really good, I think, whole food plant-based choices that you can do. And you can always ask the restaurant to modify something for you, and most times they'll do that.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot more opportunities than there used to be with modifying meals at restaurants and just amplifying, adding veggies to your plate, adding more greens, whole grains to it when you're eating out. So
Mhm.
you mentioned your wife does a lot of the cooking. Has there been any favorite recipes of hers that she's enjoyed or started?
We do, like I said, that golden lentil stew. We do a veggie, like a bean chili. So no meat, but lots of beans and spices and things like that. We do like quinoa bowl where you have quinoa, and then she'll use a lot of veggies that she'll add to that, peppers and things like that. So it's pretty simple and pretty easy. Or you can get crazy and try, all those different exotic grains or whatever.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier, just kind of learning a couple new tricks and getting them in their repertoire
Yeah.
over time. Yeah. Well,
Veggie burgers, I
yeah,
mean,
exactly.
it's nice to have a veggie burger every once in a while. Black bean burger, again, it's just learning new recipes and ways to cook and things like that.
And then once they get in your routine, then you just kind of execute it. We think about a lot of us all tend to eat a similar 5 meals per
Mm.
week of the similar pattern of some setting up theme nights. I always tell my patients is a good idea. So you could have like a Mexican night, or you can have an Asian bowl night, and you can have just swapping out those animal proteins for plant proteins, like you mentioned, a black bean bowl instead, are great ideas instead of a beef or chicken bowl
Yeah,
to lower that saturated fat content and amplify that fiber nicely.
we'll get Chipotle, but obviously no meat, but you can get brown rice and load it up with veggies and some guacamole, and you're good to go,
Salsa, and there you go.
Also, yeah, I mean, that's good stuff.
Do you have any tips for any of our patients on what they could do in the next month, or what they could do to improve their health overall?
Yeah, I don't think you have to do it all at once.
Mhm.
You know, like I said, my wife and I, initially, we just cut out meat. But you know, it's just taking one step at a time, one day at a time, give yourself some grace. And for me, it was really helpful to track, you know, and, you know, I know Dr. Greger's got a free app that you can use that helps you make sure you're, you know, getting all the right kinds of food. Um, but like I said, that Lose It app is a free app that I use to track what I was eating, and it helps you, you know, helps you stay on track.
Exactly.
I think that that's one thing I would suggest, that you know, it's good to keep your focus on what you're doing and track your progress and that sort of thing. But again, give yourself some grace. Take it one day at a time. You know, you don't have to do it all at once.
Exactly. Thanks so much, Mike, for meeting with us today. I think our patients really value what you shared with us today, and we're excited to see you on this journey with us.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thanks. Take care. Thank you to all of our patients for joining us today. The power of plant-based eating is incredible, and we hope that hearing each of their individualized stories empowers you to move forward in this new year with a healthier and happier lifestyle, incorporating more foods that are plant-based. And don't forget to tune in to our plant powered cooking demonstration this Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time, where we'll teach you and your family how to cook delectable lunches that everyone can enjoy. Remember, all of our information about the 2022 Plant Powered Challenge can be found on our Facebook page, which is under Spectrum Health Lifestyle Medicine. And as like one of our patients said to me, remember, it's not a new year, it's a new lifestyle. And we're here for you. See you next time.